Welcome to Letting Go of Her podcast, where we are learning to let go of all of our past identities and finding our identity in Christ. I, your host, Maria Lopez, will take you on my faithful walk and journey into finding my true identity in Christ. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Letting Go of Her podcast. I just kind of want to quickly say thank you so much to just everyone who tuned in to episode number 1. Like I said, I was kind of nervous about that one because this is like a completely brand new topic for me to be talking about. And I feel that like deep down inside of me, I'm still kind of used to talking about my old podcast. So like forgive me if some words from that old podcast slip onto here. I don't really mean it to happen, but I was just so used to doing that. But thank you so much. I know that there are many like brand new faces and brand new listeners, and I am just so excited to see the journey that the Lord takes me on here. So today I kind of wanted to get into the topic of talking about not understanding or like not being able to accept the love of God. This is kind of something that the Lord has really put into my heart lately, because it's something that I need to work on. As someone who grew up with a lot of just childhood trauma, and as someone who grew up with just parental figures that made me feel unloved and unwanted and were just emotionally absent, um, I find it very difficult to be able to accept that God loves me regardless of my mistakes and regardless of everything that I have done or that I do or that I don't do. And it's just something that I've kind of been struggling with a lot lately. Is just to fully be able to accept the love of God and that He loves me like regardless of everything. So growing up, I was kind of just taught that I needed to earn someone's love, and by earning, I had to do something that could be beneficial to this person. So, for example, like my grandmother, I needed to earn her love. So to earn it, I had to like keep my room clean and clean it, or help her around in the kitchen, or ask her if she needed to be helped. And that was a way that she would show some sort of like affection or praise back to me. And it was kind of like same thing with like my mom. Like I had to get like good grades in order for her to say something like, "Oh, good job," or "proud of you," or whatever it was. Um, so I think that just kind of hinders my relationship with the Lord, right? And that's kind of just really stuck into my heart in terms of like, I need to do good in order for God to love me. Um, but that's not the case at all. And in our women's group at church, we are actually going through like a very deep study on the book of Ephesians. And one verse that really stuck out to me was Ephesians 2:8, which is, "For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing, it is the gift of God." So this is just telling us like nothing we can do will make God love us more, right? Like he already loves us simply because he does, simply because it's the gift that he has given us. He's chosen us, he's adopted us. Like we are his children, and he gives us his love, and he gives us his grace, and he gives us his mercy simply because he wants to. And no amount of good works on our part is going to make that more or less. Like he's going to love us regardless of everything. I can even go as far as he's saying John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, um, to die for our sins, right? To die for our wrongdoings because he loved us so much. And I struggle with that. I struggle with being able to accept the love of God. Sometimes I still see myself as just this this person who is undeserving and this person who is unlovable. There are days where I know that I did wrong. There are days where I know that I have deeply sinned all day long, whether it's, my temper, or not reading my Bible, right? That's not necessarily a sin or anything, but like I know that I didn't spend enough time with God that day, and I go to bed and I'm like, oh God, like I don't deserve your love today because I did nothing. I did nothing to glorify you. I did nothing to praise you. If anything, I yelled at my kids. If anything, I snapped at my husband. If anything, like, and then I'll start listing all the bad things that I did. And I'm like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Like, why am I so deserving of your love? Like, when I have done nothing, absolutely nothing to deserve it today. But what does he say at night? Every night to me? Like, I love you regardless. And that is honestly something that on most days I just can't comprehend. Like, I can't comprehend. Like, I am such a sinner, Lord. Like, I am undeserving of your love. And I feel that, like, when I pray, like, that's pretty much all I ever say. Or, one of the ways that I end my prayers is always just like, I do not deserve this. I do not deserve your blessings. I do not deserve your goodness, your kindness, your mercy, your love. Like, I don't deserve any of this, but yet you still give it to me. And I just, I deeply struggle with that. And I want to say that, like, anyone can deeply struggle with that, right? But as someone who grew up feeling like they needed to earn someone's love, and also as someone who grew up just not feeling very loved. I had just very emotionally absent parental figures, right? My mom was very emotionally absent. My grandmother was very emotionally absent. Um, and there was not much like affection and just like, I don't know, that nurturing love. There wasn't much of that growing up. So like the moments where I'm crying out to the Lord and I'm just like, Lord, help me, like, can I feel your presence, right? And those moments that like I can feel him, like I can feel him like holding me and hugging me, like it's the best. It's the best feeling in the world, right? Because my grandmother, my mother, whomever it was, they're all going to disappoint you, right? Like because they are human. And there are going to be times where we're not going to feel loved by those that are supposed to love us, right? Like our parents or even our spouses sometimes. Like they're going to say the wrong things. They're going to do the wrong things. They're going to make us feel unloved from time to time. But we have the love of a father who will always love us no matter what. And that we don't need to prove that we are worthy of it and that we don't need to earn it for him either. I feel that like sometimes I don't know, wish that I can kind of hide from God. Um, and this is just kind of my own convictions because I know that I'll do something wrong or I'll say something wrong, and I'm just like, ugh, like, can we just pretend that you didn't see that or hear that, Lord? Like, I am so sorry. Um, and there are times where I want to run away, right? Because I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have behaved that way, or whatever it is. But all I keep thinking about is my son. My son is my Velcro baby. He just since he was born has always had to be just attached to me 24/7. Um and there will be times where I'm holding him and I have to clean and I have to cook and I have to pick stuff off the ground and I'm moving around with him, right? So like just imagine having a baby in your hip and you're like picking stuff off the ground and you're cleaning and you're sweeping and you're cooking and you're doing all the things with like a baby on, right? And I just think about how much trust my son has in me, right? That like no matter in what direction I'm moving him, whether I'm pulling him or, bringing him closer to the ground, like he never once is afraid and he never once second guesses and he never once like assumes I'm going to drop him. Like he has so much trust in me that he knows that even if I'm moving him around and I'm doing other things with my other hand, that I'm never going to let go of him. And I feel that that's the way that we should cling on to God, right? Like we should cling on to him, that no matter what our life is going through, no matter what ups and downs, no matter what messes he has to clean for us, we cling on to him, and we know that he's never going to drop us, but we know that he's never going to stop loving us. And that's just like, just think about it for a second. Like, think about it. Think about how much you love your children if you have children, or you love your spouse, or you love your parents. Think about how much you love them, and think about how much they disappoint you from time to time. um, and just think about it for a second. And regardless of how much we love them, we still hurt them and we still disappoint them from time to time, right? So just imagine of the greater love that God has for us, that no matter what we do, he's going to love us. Like the love that we feel for people, like, it's so much greater the love that he feels for us. And it's just like, it's something truly, truly unimaginable sometimes. I am learning to cling on to the Lord with all of my might. I am learning to cling on to him, just as my son clings on to me 24/7. I am learning to cling on to the Lord, and I'm just learning to accept that he does love me, and that I'm not a mistake, that I wasn't put on this earth for a mistake, as a mistake. Um, and there are moments where that's just, it's hard to it's hard. It's there's no other way to put it. It's just hard to accept, and it's hard to comprehend. But he is so good. Like, he is so good. And I can't be the only one who struggles with that, right? Like, I can't be the only one who thinks, like, how does this being, how does this thing, how does this, like, all-knowing creator of the entire universe, like, does that love someone like me, like someone who sins, someone who disappoints, someone who yells, someone who gets angry, someone who is anxious, someone who's fearful, someone who doesn't put their trust in him. Like, how does that love me? But he does. And like Ephesians 2:8 says, like, nothing, like, this is not of your doing, right? Like, he doesn't love you more because you tithe more, and he doesn't love you more because you spend more hours in the children's ministry, for example, or he doesn't love you more because you're a pastor. Like, no, like, he loves each and every one of us exactly the same, but he loves each and every one of us with so much love. For so long, I blamed this feeling on, my family, for example, on the way that I was raised. I blamed just the feeling worthless and the feeling unlovable on my grandmother, on my mother, for them just not being as affectionate, or for them just not loving me in the way that I needed to be loved. But they loved me in the best way that they knew how to love, right? Like, people are only going to reach us to the point that they've gotten themselves, and they can't give anymore, and they can't push any further. And I know that sometimes, like, even that's hard to understand, because you think, like, oh, but I can do this and I can do that, right? But that doesn't mean that they can. And like, I look at my children and I'm like, oh, I love you guys so much, and I would never do this to you, and I would never do that, right? Like, I would never do what my mom did to me, or I would never do what my grandma did to me. And I'm loving them to the point that I know how to love them. And I won't be able to go past that either. And maybe in some ways, I won't give them the love that they need, or the love that they deserve, really. But I know that the Lord will fill them in every single way that I'm going to lack. And that is something that, like, I put my whole trust in, is knowing, and where I lack as a parent, the Lord will fill that in for my children. um and that gives me some sort of peace, right? That doesn't mean that I'm not trying my hardest as a parent, because I am. I do try, even though, our little brains and our little minds like to tell us every day that we're failing and that we're not doing enough. But I know that I do. I know that I do try. and in the ways that I'm going to disappoint my children, and in the ways that I'm going to lack whatever needs that they have, I know that the Lord will fill that in for them. Um, and that gives me peace. And I hope that that gives you peace as well. I just, kind of wanted to bring that up about the whole blaming thing, because this is a podcast about learning to let that go, right? If you're someone who's still struggling with, like, my mom should have loved me better, or my dad should have loved me better, my grandparents should have loved me better, but anyone in my family should have shown me more affection, or shown me more love, or my spouse should show me more love and more affection. They're all human, and they're all going to make mistakes. But this is when we should cling on to our God, or Almighty God, who's going to fulfill all of those places that they lack in, because they're going to lack in some shape or form. And this is just kind of what I've been learning lately. I'm learning to just let go of that, right? Like, let go of that grudge and that bitterness that I had and that I held for so long against my mother, who sometimes I felt like didn't fight hard enough for me, and didn't fight hard enough to love me. And that bitterness and that anger grew even greater when I had my own children, because I had them, and I'm like, how can you not love these kids, right? Like, how can you not love something like this? Like, something that you made, something that God blessed you with. Like, how can you not love them? How can you not go to the ends of the earth for them? But I've learned to let go. Like, you know what? She did the best that she could. She gave me as much love as she possibly knew how to. Um, and it would be unrealistic of me to expect more from her. And I get it. I was there. I, was the one blaming. I was the one like, well, you should have tried harder, because I'm trying harder for our kids, right? Um, but that is when we direct our focus to the Lord, right? Because the people here on earth, like, they're gonna lack. And that is when we turn over to God and we say, you know what, and whatever they lack, you're gonna fill me. And that is what I cling onto nowadays. Even, during this difficult time of raising young children, and my husband working so much, there are times where I feel unloved by my own husband. And I know that those are also just triggers from my own childhood, right? Like, because, if my mom wasn't around, or my grandma wasn't around, or anything, like, I felt unloved. So now that my husband is not around, even if it's not for the right reasons, or or the same reasons, there are times where, I go back to my childhood trauma, basically, and I'm like, my husband doesn't love me. But it's moments like that when I cling over to God, and I'm like, no, but you know what, you love me. And that is honestly just like peace that I have been finding lately. So if it's one thing that I hope that you can get out of this podcast episode, is that people are going to lack, and people are going to disappoint, but we have the love of a God who will never lack and who will never disappoint us. And we have to learn to just let go of that, let go of what we wish we had, and start to accept and embrace what God has given us already. Because what He has given us and the plans that He has for us is way better than what we thought we wanted and the plans that we had for ourselves. I do want to end this episode with a prayer, but not my prayer. In our small group, we have been reading the book of John, and we have just been going intensely over it. And we just read John 17, which is the high priestly prayer. And this is the prayer that Jesus um, tells over the disciples, like, just a few hours before he gets arrested, and then, before he dies on the cross for us. And when they read this prayer out loud, it was like almost as if like tears were coming to my eyes, because this is what Jesus wants for us to know here on earth, right? And we've talked about how sometimes we just don't understand the love of God, and especially those of us who have dealt with just past and upbringings of not feeling loved. It's even harder for us to accept that and just to grasp that concept. So my prayer for today is I'm going to read John chapter 17. If you have a Bible around you, or if you kind of want to save this for later, but I'm going to go ahead and read that, and that'll be our prayer for the end of this episode. When Jesus had spoken these words, he lifted his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that the Son may glorify you, since you have given him authority over all flesh, to give eternal life to all whom you have given him. And this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I glorified you on earth, having accomplished the work that you gave me to do. And now, Father, glorify me in your presence, with the glory that I had with you before the world existed. I have manifested your name to the people whom you gave me out of the world. Yours they were, and you gave them to me, and they have kept your word. Now they know that everything that you have given me is from you. For I have given them the words that you gave me, and they have received them, and have come to know in truth that I came from you, and they have believed that you sent me. I am praying for them. I am not praying for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours. All mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. And I am no longer in the world, but they are in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Father, keep them in your name, which you have given me, that they may be one, even as we are one. While I was with them, I kept them in your name, which you have given me. I have guarded them, and not one of them have been lost except the son of destruction, that the scripture might be fulfilled. But now I am coming to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they may have my joy filled in themselves. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not ask that you take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them into the world. And for their sake I consecrate myself, that they also may be sanctified in truth. I do not ask for these only, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them, and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them, even as you loved me. Father, I desire that they also, whom you have given me, may be with me where I am, to see my glory, and that you have given me because you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, even though the world does not know you, I know you, and these know that you have sent me. I made known to them your name, and I will continue to make it known, that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. If you've stuck around this long, thank you for tuning in to Letting Go of Her podcast. If you'd like to subscribe or leave a review, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to the podcast, or you can also see a video of it on YouTube/Letting Go of Her podcast. Today, we are learning to let go of the past. Today, we are learning to let go of those high expectations we have of others and where we think we need them to love us, and accept that the Lord will fill that in and accept that the Lord will love us in every way that they lack. Today, we are learning to let go of the past. We're learning to let go of all those grudges and all the bitterness that we have felt over those that didn't love us in the way that we needed to. Today, we are learning to let go because we are a new creation.